My character is called the Drover. It's unusual, a bit like a very famous Clint Eastwood role. He's a man without a name. He's a mysterious character. Let me be clear, drover is an Australian term for cowboy. So he lives probably 9 months of the year under the stars, sleeping under the stars. Everything he owns he has in one bag. He spends most of his time with his fellow sort of cowboys living out in the open, and he loves it. He's an outsider. He's not really part of Aboriginal society, but he's not part of the white society. He's his own man, a bit of an island, very tough, macho, strong, masculine sort of figure. And at the beginning of the film, Baz actually plays him almost stereotypically in that way. Very classic, sort of heroic male archetype. And then gradually that changes a little. Yeah, I mean the movie, people will see this movie and they'll see The Searchers, John Wayne, they'll see Sergio Leone movies, Clint Eastwood, they'll see Clark Gable and Gone with the Wind, they'll see all these kind of homages in many ways. For me, I got most of my inspiration from two sources, from books. Hell-Bent and Crooked, which is a story of the people who lived up there and worked up in that, and particularly established the northern part of Australia. It was incredibly tough to do that. This is when it was uninhabited. And also another fantastic classic Australian book, which is about this thick, called Poor Fellow, My Country. And it really is an unbelievable resource. It's over 1,000 pages long. But the central character in that is really like a slightly older version of the drover. So they were two sources. I then looked at videos. I went mustering with cattle with the real stockman and did a lot of time preparing on a horse, riding every day for at least 7 or 8 months before we started shooting. The most challenging thing was also the most rewarding, was the location. We were in places that 99% of Australians have never been to, let alone Spanish people. You know, it is so remote. We had to build a road. I mean, it cost a lot of money. A big part of the budget was building a road just to get the set in and out. We were on traditional Aboriginal lands and places that many white people have never been to. And at times, for weeks, we were living in tents and caravans, and which is kind of great fun, but also, of course, makes it challenging. Dust storms, intense heat, all of that stuff. But as I said, it was also kind of the beauty of it. I was living out there with my family, and my son in particular slept with me out on set for weeks on end, and he just loved it. One of the great opportunities of this film is it is comedic, quite broad comedy at times, even slapstick, to quite intense drama and romance and action. And in Hollywood these days, those movies are very separate. So it's an action movie, it's a thriller, it's a romantic comedy, you know, it's a kid's movie. Very rarely as an actor do you get to do all those things. So it was a challenge, but also kind of one of the great things I could ever have asked for. I mean, in one movie I got to do what you'd be lucky enough to do in 5 years of movies, you know, and all with a great director who was looking after you. Plus, you know, it also helps Baz. He does a lot of takes, so there's probably a lot of really bad performances that you never got to see. It was an email I received from a 12-year-old Aboriginal boy. My wife's relative teaches Aboriginal studies in a school up north part of Australia. Took the class to see the movie. And there were several Aboriginal kids in the class, and one of them was moved enough to write to me to say that it made him proud to be an Aboriginal. And he's only 12, and he said that that movie has done more for the Aboriginal people than any government in Australia has ever done. Now, that was his feeling as a 12-year-old, but yeah, it made me feel really proud. Whatever happens with this movie, in a way, the movie succeeded.
Thank you very much, Hugh.
My pleasure, gracias.